Yeah, when Hunter gets with Klaudia, he won't have bio-life energy because he is still a lesbian.
Start your sublight engines. It's time for RuPaul's Pod Race, a queer Star Wars podcast. Welcome back to another week of chaos. I'm Klaudia. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on social media at Klaudia Says, K-A-L-U-D-I-A Says. My gender of the week this week is the Wario's Goldmine track on Mario Kart that this episode of the Badbatch took place on. I literally every single blessed time that they were doing the little carts, I was like, ooh, make sure you don't miss the shortcut on Wario's Goldmine, and I couldn't concentrate on the goddamn episode.
That's so powerful.
When are we getting our Rainbow Road episode?
No, the Bad Batch will split up if they did Rainbow Road.
Not Wrecker flying off the side of Rainbow Road.
Actually, that's Noah's gender this week. Noah's not here, so I will be assigning him a gender. Noah's gender this week is Wrecker falling off Rainbow Road.
I'm so sorry, Noah.
Sorry,
Rest in
Noah.
peace, King. Fly high, angel. My name is Ollie. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on social media at OllieFresh. And my gender this week actually is a shared gender because Mel is also not here. And we were talking and they came up with a really good gender that I think I really vibed with. So my gender this week is Normie Vizago.
Stop.
Because I think all of us, when we saw that man, Roland, for the first time, I think everyone who has seen Rebels was like, for a hot second, was like, Vizago? And then he spoke, and it was like, oh, Normie Vizago.
No, it was Vizago with contouring.
Oh my god.
He's like, no, because, okay, here's the thing. I've also seen people are like, oh, Roland is just hot Vizago. I'm like, I'm sorry, I might be gay, but regular Vizago's hot Vizago. This man is a pretty boy, and I can't stand by that behavior.
I am a supporter of pretty boys, but I don't stand Roland.
No,
I don't like Roland.
I can respect the pretty boy community. It is simply Roland that I do not respect.
I don't think Roland is. I think Roland wants to be a pretty boy. I think he's trying to embody that, but I don't think he's gotten there.
I should have made my gender e-boy Roland.
I'm Jess. My pronouns are they, them. You can find me on most social media at Kawaii Jessio. And my gender this week is, well, you've heard of Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Get ready for Boba Fett and Marshall Animal Crossing.
Okay, so is this to assume that Marshall from Animal Crossing is the baby?
That's
going to be adopted by Boba.
He's being adopted by Boba Fett. If anyone, for context, it's because I got a very tiny little Marshall figure. Marshall from Animal Crossing, he is a squirrel, and I put him next to my Boba Fett Funko Pop, and he's very, very small. And it did look like Boba Fett was going to shoot him, but I thought it was very funny.
Yeah, so this week's episode 13, was Infested. And it was not a filler episode, a breather episode, meaning we had a little adventure on Ord Mantell. We knew we knew the name of this episode. It was in the batch of episode names that came out a bit ago.
Yeah, for press, all of the episodes of July, their names were released, so we knew. And we know next week's episode title as well, which is War Mantle, but we'll get into that later.
Which is also why I did not mind this one being a little lighter, because I was like, I know next week, and then the last two episodes after that are gonna be step on the gas. I'm okay with this one being a little different. I know there's been a lot of discourse about that. But yeah, so I also know I was like, epic stereotypical sci-fi bug episode moment. This is not just a Dave Filoni thing. It's a law of science fiction, of fantasy, whatever. There must be a bug episode. It has to happen. It's like, I don't know what compulsion people have. I was like, why? I did think at first it was going to be like the Geonosian worm thing or whatever, and I was like, not that shit again.
I also thought that as well. Also, the other thing too is that on Disney Plus, they have recently added a segment or like a section for the Clone Wars essential episodes, and it does have the entire like Geonosis brainworm arc, and I think that that's just so that you'll have context for Barriss and Ahsoka in the Wrong Jedi arc. But I did see that, and for a split second I was like, are we about to see Geonosis? And the other thing too is that in Rebels we do know that the Geonosians are all gone, so I was like, maybe the Bad Batch is gonna be there when Geonosis gets like destroyed. But
oh shit,
that
scares me.
I don't know if it's certainly not going to be the case this season. But this episode was called Infested. Call it Invested because I was very into it. I liked this episode a lot, and I will say, I know there's been a lot of like discourse about what a filler episode is. I don't necessarily think that filler is a bad word. I think a filler episode is what it is. And what that means is that it is an episode that might focus more on character development, but it doesn't further the overarching plot.
To be serious for a second about like that discourse, because let's just address it head on. It always bothers me because Star Wars is a set of movies first, and everyone's like, we never have any time with these characters. It's just the plot and the movies and whatever. And then we get the TV shows where we can have a little bit of time. And then people are like, what is this filler? I don't understand. I'm like, what do you people want? What do you people want? I'm like, listen, like, if this was airing on broadcast, we'd have a lot more filler, whatever. And again, I could launch into the same talk that I always give about the differences between streaming and broadcast and how that's changing how things are produced and how stories are told, and especially in animation, and what that means, and, you know, the Netflix model and all that kind of shit and whatever. So it's to me, it's nice that they were like, no, we are going to still make sure that we have these breather episodes or filler episodes or whatever, because we see the value in that. And especially because people on this podcast even have had many critiques about like, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more about the batch themselves or spend a little time with them. I think that's not bad. I also think that, ironically, the TV shows, I've probably said this before too, operate like the TV shows are filler in themselves. Like they operate in that middle space. So for like, and the whole point of this show, they said, they were like, we are using the batch as a point of view to see the transition into the Empire. So the plot is just one piece of showing what that means at that time. Like this episode, maybe there wasn't as much plot involved, but we were seeing how it's like, yeah, it's just a crime lord's game. And also Ord Mantell is apparently fucking infested with bugs. So, but also like, you know, this is what's happening in the galaxy or whatever. And we don't necessarily need the plot for that, but it's still serving the purpose of the show. So I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, I personally didn't have a problem with this episode too. It was a bit slower, but yeah, because it went back to focusing on like, oh, here's the batch doing stuff that is just kind of about them. And then I feel like it definitely was showing us like, oh, look, Omega is the only capable member of the batch, honestly, because she's the only one that actually empathizes with people. And it's like, hey, we should like help because this is messed up.
Epic Ahsoka moment.
Yeah. And I do think it might be setting up some more fun things with these syndicates and crime lords for maybe next season, because some of the plot that did happen, like why did they specifically name drop like Roland's like mother? She's not gonna be more important somewhere down the line. I don't know, because like it felt weird to just be like, oh yeah, this specific lady, I think her name is like Issa Duran. You don't want to like get tied up in like that business pikes. You're gonna start a crime war, a mafia war if you do this shit.
Okay, first of all, I do think the idea of Issa Durant being Sid's ex is very funny.
That's
and that's why they have beef. I would have liked in the Bad Batch to see more episodes like this one.
Yeah.
And I think like if we had the first like 5-10 episodes been like this, and then all of those heavy exposition episodes that we had in the first, like the first 5 episodes or the first 8 episodes, even if we had put those at the back half of the season, or at least like that pacing, I think that could have been really nice. That being said, the show's still not over, so I'm not going to get into the pacing of it, but I like the idea of like a more fun, carefree, quote unquote episode, because we got a lot of those in Clone Wars and we got a lot of them in Rebels. I think they're some of the more fun ones, some of the more memorable ones.
It's interesting you talk about the pacing, because when I tell people like how to binge Star Wars shows or whatever, I often bring up how with Rebels, the first and last season are shorter than like your normal 22 episode sort of like broadcast season that the second and third season are. And it's interesting to me because also this is pretty much, I believe, like one of Disney Plus's flagship animated shows. So this was their first, like, okay, and it's with Star Wars, one of their biggest properties. Obviously they were still airing Marvel shows at the same time, so they weren't like putting all their eggs in that basket, and they had other stuff going on. Monsters at Work came out, but it is very, what I'm interested to see is if there is a second season. I am pretty confident there will be a second season. I think they'll probably have more room to do what you just said, Ollie, because like I feel like they were probably like, okay, we have to really like knock it out of the park streaming wise. Like we can do like 16 episodes, but that's like really stretching it from a streaming perspective, because all eyes are going to be on us. We do have that coveted Friday Disney Plus slot, and we're covering all of this time between when Star Wars content is coming out. So I feel like I'm hoping that like a second season that they'll have more room to experiment that way. I mean, and all shows also usually have more room to experiment in season 2 as well. So anyways, season 2 of the Badbatch, get at me.
So I do think that we are going to see Omega teaching Hunter and the rest of the Bad Batch empathy, because that is what we saw. That is what Jess was saying earlier. But I did just come up with a thought, because Jess was talking about it being like like them being like, oh, the crime syndicates are going to be a bigger deal. Like the Pike Syndicate was a big deal in this episode. What if the Bad Batch becomes bounty hunters? And that's why they're not like relevant to like later on, like in Rebels, is because they are not a part of that circle, or maybe there's like some sort of falling out and they're separated like from the regular or from the rest of the rebellion, and like they fall into like underground crime activity. It's just a thought, and I just came up with it.
Maul, Crimson Dawn, Maul.
Okay.
Yeah, this is how Maul can still win.
The Bad Batch's Crimson Dawn members.
Wait,
Ooh.
I just had a sad thought. So some people have been thinking, okay, maybe the Batch will join the rebellion and they'll be part of the, like, what is that called? The Rebels Reconnaissance Special Forces or whatever that people were talking about that exists. So I did have a sad thought, and we were like, okay, so right now we have the whole War of the Bounty Hunters comic thing that's going on right now. We also have Book of Boba Fett coming out. And then the big revelation in this was that Miss Omega is Boba Fett's sister. And we're all like, yeah, it would make sense for her to be in the Book of Boba Fett. So you're saying, oh, they would be bounty hunters, whatever. What if, bear with me, she's friends with Cid now, like she's friends with Fennec, she's whatever, like what if she loses the Batch and then she becomes a bounty hunter?
That's literally exactly what happened to Boba.
Omega starts her own crime syndicate.
No! Omega takes over Crimson Dawn.
I was just gonna say that.
Kira raises another girl boss.
Wait, here's the thing. Maul has spent this whole time searching for an apprentice. He finally finds one in Omega, and Omega's like, yeah, I'll be your apprentice. And then, like, later on, she's like, I am stronger than you, and leaves. And that's when he goes to Maulycule to go chill in the cave and wait for Anakin.
Wait, no, but
we've
honestly,
connected the dots.
It would be crazy because, like, it would be cool to be like, okay, and then the Badge dies, and then she has to like grow up on her own or whatever, and that would then it would tie into so many things or what. Like, Like
that would be like really thematically interesting as well.
It would be like Boba Django parallels, poetry and rhymes.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Also, I mean, a lot of people compare Boba and Omega obviously to Luke and Leia, like of like siblings who were, not didn't grew up apart, and so they're like siblings but not. And literally siblings but not, and also identical but not. And it would be cool kind of because we have both Luke and Leia are Jedi, but Leia was only like for a little bit or whatever. I don't know, it'd be interesting.
Both bounty hunters, but Omega's only a bounty hunter for a little.
The idea of Omega being like, I just honestly, good for you, King. It's not my style.
I do think, knowing that like last week, Omega did confirm like she views the Batch as brothers. So if she does meet Boba, she'd also see him as her brother. So yeah, I'm thinking about them again.
Well, okay. Here's another concept: is Omega sees the other clones as her brothers, Boba does not. So in Book of Boba Fett, or were she to ever meet Boba, they would both have a moment of, yes, we're Jango, like we're closer to Jango than any of them, and Omega being like, they are still our brothers, even if we do not feel like family with them, they still are our family, and we have a certain level of responsibility to them as family. And Boba having to learn to have empathy for the other clones.
Bestie, I can't do this.
Like, I don't know how likely that is to happen, and I do love the idea of like found family being the most important thing in Star Wars. I think there's always so much emphasis put on like who's your blood family, and I don't think that is the point of Star Wars for the most part. Obviously, there's important ties like Luke and Vader, but I think especially with the sequels, it's like your blood doesn't really matter as long as you are true to yourself. So it would be interesting to see how they would put Boba with Omega in regards to the other clones. It's just a thought.
Aren't they saying for Book of Boba Fett that Boba would like kind of also be thinking and exploring his like past and dealing with like his Jango issues? So Omega could still show up in Book of Boba Fett. Omega and Book of Boba Fett were manifesting. Come on.
I did also want to talk about something that I think is very funny. So in this episode, we did see a lot of organized crime. And talking about found family did make me think about my beautiful woman, Cid, who is a lesbian. Yes. I have decided if you don't think that's right, I'm sorry, you're wrong. But
literally,
here's the thing.
What else would she be?
So we were joking. That's like, oh, I think Jess's gender one week was Bolo and Ketch.
Yeah, like, Bolo and Ketch. Bolo and his weekway life partner, Ketch.
And we thought that was funny, but it's like they're really leaning into that. And I'm like, I know it's not Pride Month anymore, but did Star Wars just give us our first gay couple and Cid as their lesbian protector?
Not to be a resistance stand on main, however, it really does remind me of Flix and Orca, who are a canonically gay married couple in Resistance. And then there is the like tavern keeper character in Resistance, I can't remember her name right now, is also like a big, powerful lesbian kind of character who's a lot like Cid. So all I'm saying is I've connected the dots.
I am obsessed with MLM protector Cid, because she did also have that moment with Wrecker in the caves. Like, I know she wasn't really protecting him, but she was like, hang on, buddy. Like, Cid, and that's why she's helping the Bad Batch. And we've established Cid is like a queer elder. So even if she's like a mean queer elder who's been through it, so it's like she sees the Bad Batch and she's like, oh, these are a bunch of gay people raising a child who's transgender. Like as annoying as they may be, or as much as I don't like them sometimes, I'm gonna help them out. Cid is like began to bond with Omega and now has been like, I am going to protect this child. I know her name. I still don't know or remember any of your names.
It's the same thing as in The Mandalorian, where like there was every lesbian they approached was like, somebody made a joke, I think on Tumblr, that like the funniest part of The Mandalorian is that every person who encounters Grogu is like, "Aw, look at your tiny son," or they're like, "What the fuck is wrong with that dog?" And And sometimes they start with what the fuck is wrong with that dog, but if they're like a powerful lesbian character, they end up with like, this is my child now. But this is why, and this is something that I discussed briefly on TikTok, this is why, number one, her nicknames for them are so funny, because either way it's funny, either if she knows their names and does it on purpose, or doesn't know their names and does it. I truly think she only knows Omega's name, but the rest of them, she's just fucking with them. But I think she's also fucking with them in another way, because she tries to blackmail them, but like kind of weakly. And she's like, well, I have a secret on you, whatever. And I'm like, bestie, they don't even need to be blackmailed.
Yeah,
they're walking around in their full armor and a ship from the Republic. They have not changed clothing at all. Hunter looks like a regular ass fucking clone, and they're walking around with a child who fits every description of every bounty on every planet. Like, what black, like, she's gonna tell somebody about them? Like, it's not like they're fucking hiding.
Can we get Omega a change of clothes or something, or like a
They dye her hair?
Get
Like,
all of them new clothes. Like, what's going on? You guys are kind of stupid.
Half of them have new clothes. They just don't wear them.
Makeover montage.
Repainting
Yeah,
their
where's the
armor
makeover?
Repainting their armor montage is actually extremely powerful.
Or they like the batch goes shopping.
When are we getting Echo back his handprint? The fact that
I know.
Echo not
Where's
only
his Inspector Gadget hand, like his new one?
Echo doesn't have a hand, the handprint on his chest from Rex, or a fun Cid nickname. Everyone else has a fun Cid nickname, and Echo doesn't, and I think that's hateful.
Speaking of which, TikTok user Flannel, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, TikTok user Flannel, aka Eve,
made a video about how Echo's the only one that Cid does not have a nickname for, and so proposed a couple of possible nicknames, and I think the funniest one is Scomp.
The idea of okay, Scompy.
Not Scompy and Gonky. Oh my god.
The idea of her being like, Goggles, Scompy, come on.
Like, the only other thing is, like, would be offensive too, because it'd be like calling him like a cyborg or a droid just straight up, and that's kind of fucked up.
Ableist Cid.
Ableist slur-throwing Cid.
Not slur-throwing Cid. That's actually a very funny name. Like, that's what they call her in like the underworld. That's like, imagine if they had walked in and Hunter had been like, where's Cid? And Roland's like, oh, slur-throwing Cid, you're looking for her.
I think if Maul himself walked in, Cid would have a nickname for him. She'd be like, Legs, come here.
Not legs. Oh my god.
I can't with
either legs
Cid.
or horns. And talking about Cid also, can we talk about her connection to Roland? Because I did go back to figure something out, and it was episode 7, Return of our King Rex, battle scars, as Mel said a couple episodes ago too. That is when they actually got Ruby. That was the job they were doing before they came back, was they got Ruby, and Omega named her Ruby. And then they gave her to Cid, and Cid's like, oh yeah, this is for a dude. I don't know what he wants to do with it. Like, either keep it as a pet or eat it. Who knows? I just like the thought that fucking Roland, like, Cid gave Roland this lizard armadillo and was like, here you go. And Roland was just like, oh cool, does it have a name? And Cid was like, Ruby, because she probably heard Omega call the little lizard thing Ruby. And fucking Roland was like, nice, I like that. I'm keeping that. You're Ruby from now on.
There was also something that I thought was very funny, which is that not only is Cid an MLM protector, she's also an MLM manipulator. So she sent Ketch in being like, have fun with this crime syndicate, go steal this armadillo, which did prompt us to think about the hit children's show, Ketch and Ruby.
Stop, no.
Ketch and Ruby. Ruby and Ketch.
Ketch and Ruby and her little weequay Ketch.
Alternatively, Roland is just one of those people who like gets a pet from the shelter but never changes the name. Because he's like, yeah, I mean, that's its name. I'm not going to change it.
Yeah, honestly.
Also, very, very funny. It would be like if she doesn't know any of the Batch's names, but she knows Ruby's name. That's very funny.
Well, here's the thing. Cid only knows the name of children and animals, and I respect that. She's like, this is my beautiful child, Omega, who I call Tiny as like a fun, like diminutive little nickname. And Ruby, who is an animal.
I like that too.
So obviously Roland, is he Visago with contour? Yes. Is he handsome Squidward? Yes. I have said this before when they created Hauser and when they created Eleni. They did animate this show during the quarantine. Animators, are y'all good? Like, were you guys just really horny and home alone during the pandemic? Are you okay? Like, they really put all their hot people juice into this show, and I'm like, are you guys okay? Like, do you guys need something?
Still 3 more episodes for more characters, and I'm like, who else are you guys gonna introduce? I'm chomping at the bit here. And I will say, for many reasons, Roland is not really to my taste, but I can appreciate him for what he is for others. You know, I did call him a pretty boy in a bit of a derogatory way earlier, and I do not mean any offense towards pretty boys or pretty boy appreciators. I simply saw Roland standing where Cid stood, and I got angry.
I was just gonna say, I, on the other hand, if anyone follows my TikTok, am the opposite of Ollie. If you're simping for Roland, I'm coming for you with the price bust. I told you all to stop, and I keep seeing Roland things now. I know I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for the Roland ex-reader fanfic, and the second I see it, I'm gonna lose it.
So, other than Roland being handsome Squidward, I did also see another TikTok about Omega's propensity for making green friends, and it is true. All the people she like is friends with or like tries to be friendly towards, they're all green.
I would like to posit Cut and Sue LaQuane's kids were not green.
But they tried to make friends with her.
She befriended them too, though. She befriended right back. She was like, yeah, let's go.
That's the thing, is Omega doesn't see color. Omega.
Not this. Wait, colorblind Omega? Maybe she's colorblind. Literally.
Oh my god, that's so red, green.
That would imply that Django and Boba and all the clones.
That's her mutation.
I'm so sorry,
but she's not.
Wait. Red, green, colorblind Boba, whose armor is red and green, is very.
He just thinks it's gray. He's like, isn't this really neat? My gray armor.
The idea of him and Fennec being, and he's like, Fennec, look at my gray armor, and he's like, yeah, it's just like my dad's. His armor was also gray, and she's like, you realize your armor is green and red, right? And he's like, no, it's not, and she's like, bestie, I have something to tell you.
When he's painting it, and with Din there being sad about Grogu, and then like he's like, I'll ask Din, and Fennec's like, don't disturb Din, he's crying over his son. You can't disturb him with your arts and craft right now.
The idea of Boba thinking that he and Din have the same color armor.
That's what I'm saying. When he comes down the ramp, when he comes down the ramp and Mayfeld's like, oh, I thought you were the other guy or whatever, he thinks it's because they match.
Oh no, I do like the idea of Fennec taking him to to get an eye exam, like where he looks at the numbers and he's like, that one doesn't have a number, like the you know those circles they have that have all of the little dots in it and has like a number and colors to tell if you're colorblind. Boba does that and he's like, okay, that's a 1, just a circle. That's a 4, that's a circle. Fennec, you're trying to trick me. And she's like, there's a 7 there, it's very clear. And he's like, no, there's not. Colorblind Boba Fett King, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so Omega's colorblind, all her friends are green.
Also there are no more there are no fan fictions about Roland Durand yet.
Thank God.
He's no Hauser. Good. How dare you stand where you stood?
How dare you stand where you stood.
Let's talk about, something that I think this episode highlighted, that I think we forget a lot, and I've said this before on the podcast, but is that the Bad Batch is actually pretty competent. And I know there's a lot of moments, I think, in this show, and specifically this first season, where they're very out of their element, be that either they're having to do some sort of social interaction that they have not been trained for, because they're basically made for combat, or they're pinned up against an enemy with the intention of them not winning to introduce a new character to help them.
Or they're just up against a very powerful lesbian.
Exactly. But in this episode, when they were first when they were going down into the tunnels to get the spice, and then when they were going to get it back, there were a lot of really cool moments, like Wrecker fighting, Echo like doing what he is intended to do, like closing the door with his little scomp link. But there was also a part where Hunter jumps from one car to the other when they are going along that rail, basically busts their thing, sends them back, and pushes his guys off. And I'm obsessed with that scene. I think it's just like, that's the thing I love about the Bad Batch themselves as characters, is how unique they are with their fighting styles and how their fighting styles go together in Star Wars. And I think that's something I kind of would like to see more of. That was one of the few things, not one of the few things, but kind of one of the things I really liked about the episode where, not the last episode, but the episode before, where they went to the Separatist planet, is we really saw them working like a team. And I love that aspect of this show.
I think we also saw that in their like epic dad moment when they were like, you trade the child, and then they all like in sync were like, absolutely.
Yeah, they all whipped out their fucking blasters. I do like that when that happened, I was like looking at that scene again, and Echo like was holding his helmet in his like his actual hand, his good hand. And then when they have to whip out their blasters, you have to quickly like put it in his Scomp Link arm and pull out his blaster.
Like, in sync. I was like, okay, like rhythm, like synchronized swimming, like whoosh, like
synchronized swimming blaster pull Bad Batch.
I do like that they rehearsed that. Like they were like, okay, if in any situation where we may all need to pull out our blasters, there's going to be a little signal that I'll give, and then we'll all go, right? Like, I do like the idea of them all standing in front of a mirror, like, you know, they have in dance studios where they have the bar, and then there's the big mirror of them practicing that.
Tech being like 5, 6, 7, 8.
But yeah, I think that that's where this show really shines, is, and we see it before, is when the Bad Batch gets to show off their personalities and gets to show off their personalities and how well they work together. That's where the show really shines. And I'm looking forward to more of that. Hopefully in the next 3 episodes, and hopefully in season 2, I'm sure they will. But yeah, I really loved that.
They've been having a little bit of a time lately. They've been going through it. They've been having a time.
And I know I was also pretty vocal last week about being like, why isn't Hunter helping the rebellion yet? And the more I have thought about it, the more I'm like, it still kind of frustrates me as a plot point of them constantly being like, I got other stuff to do. So it is still a little frustrating, but the more I think about it, the more I'm kind of understanding. And now that I'm thinking of it in the context of this first season being establishing the characters and what reasons they might have to fight, I'm okay with it more now. Assuming that the end of this season or the beginning of next season is going to be them being like, hey, we are now fighting for a cause.
Also, not to be philosophical or anything, but it's really cool when you see, like, you know, rebels and they're fighting against fascists, and that's really cool and that's really awesome. There was something very powerful, though, and I think this is why people like Callus or any other, like, defector character like Bodhi or something like that, when you see, like, the process that gets somebody there to be like, anybody can be anti-fascist, but like I think that's actually very powerful, and like they're at a point of like survival for themselves as like literal marginalized people within the world or whatever, and they're literally protecting their kid right now, and they're like, we just gotta earn money and survive or whatever, and so like they're navigating this like very real thing. And so I think it's actually, you were talking about like, oh, we're taking time to establish them. And I think like from a representational point of view, I think it's really cool to represent like the thought process that goes into, okay, I am going to now join a militarized rebellion against a a fascist empire. Like, I think that's also cool and important. Even if sometimes you're like, okay, this probably would have happened a little faster. I don't know. I think it's just an important message and very timely.
I agree. I would like to see just like a touch more, maybe debate within the team about it. I think what I'm realizing about this show, and specifically these last couple episodes, is that what I would like to see is a bit more like character-driven plot, because a lot of what has happened so far is like things happening to the Bad Batch or them stumbling into something or being sent to go deal with something. It's not a lot of intrinsic motivation, which is fine for the story they're trying to tell. I just wish we got to see a little more, because some of our characters are not super developed beyond their core personality traits, which again, it's not a make or break for me, but it's just something to consider.
I think that is where season 2 might shine really well, because right now, you were just describing, like, okay, what's the motivation? Like, it's driven by a certain character. Right now, it actually is driven by a certain character. It's driven by Omega, and we do learn something new about her and her personality every week. So I think it will take like a second season or whatever to find, like, to have those motivating moments for other characters. Obviously, I think we're gonna get that probably for Hunter towards the end. Like, we are getting a lot for Hunter specifically, but I think the character driving these first season is Hunter. No, is Omega. Shout out to them being like, this is a show about 5 dudes. Psych! It's actually about one little girl, and they're the side characters. It's very powerful, but
I do like supporting cast The Bad Batch. Starring D. Bradley Baker as the supporting cast.
Oh my God. I love that though.
Like, which technically that's also the plot of the Clone Wars, where it's like, it's Ahsoka and all the clones. It's very powerful, and I do love that. Gaslight Gatekeep Girlboss. So I will be interested to see when they're like, okay, when is the plot driven by this character, driven by that one? Because right now, I mean, it is like there. I mean, when we had like Omega's little Omega alone situation, like that was driven by her as well. So, speaking of Omega, she was held hostage by a drug cartel this episode. And I do want to talk about it just for a hot second. Because in Star Wars, you know, it's war, serious things do happen. But sometimes I like to put it in perspective. And I'm like, yes, she is, 10 years old? And she is being held hostage by a drug cartel. And all I have to say, and this is something I could say in a lot of pieces of media, and this is something that we all have said probably before on this podcast, is, okay, so you could show a 10-year-old being held hostage for space cocaine by a drug cartel, but you cannot show gay people. Got it. Cool.
This is Bolo and Ketch Erasure. I'm just kidding. But I understand. You're like, but I do agree. And I think Mel said this when we were watching the episode, is like, so we can see this. There's so many like horrifying things that happen in this episode too. Like, and that's the thing, because I think with spice in Star Wars, and we could have a larger conversation about the implications of what spice is in Star Wars and what it represents.
Spice is more like opioids, to be fair.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, like, to be fair, like, we could have a bigger conversation about like the implications of that and why it is viewed the way it is. But I'm not here for that today. But I think what's funny is what made me have a moment where I was like, you can do all of this but not gay people, is when they were in Sid's office, they opened up the box and it's wrapped the exact same way as like actual real life like drugs. I was like, that's like drug that's drugs. Like, I know spice is drugs,
straight
but, like,
up drugs.
Like, spice, I know spice is drugs, and I know it's like Star Wars drugs, but in that moment I was like, oh, that's like like they're not messing around with the allegory for drugs anymore. They're like fully moving into the, don't forget, spice is drugs.
They also were like fine being like, oh yeah, we're gonna show this Pike man almost like kill Roland. I straight up thought they were gonna slit his throat in front of all of them, but they just cut off his horn. But they're like, yeah, we're okay with showing you this, and this traumatizing moment of slamming this man down and holding a knife up to him and being like, yeah, and like we're gonna kill this man.
I mean, for a hot second, like the sound that made, like if I was a child watching that, even though they do immediately show they didn't like slit his neck, they cut his horn off. For a split second, if you're a child watching that, or even like a younger person, even me as an adult, I was like, did they just slit that man's throat for like a hot second?
They've shown beheadings twice in Star Wars. Twice.
Yeah. And most of the time,
three times they have shown beheadings.
Yeah, but this one, and they've shown a lot of like literal war crimes, and not like, oh, how people are like, oh, Chopper's war crime, but like no, like literal war crimes on this show, committed by a character who, like, while Crosshair is a villain, he is still like in our eyes this like for a moment at that point we are still kind of deciding if he is a sympathetic character or not when he does that. And I think that is the turning point where they say no, he's not a sympathetic character, like he's not one that you're supposed to relate to. But I'm like, in that moment, like how troubling would that be for a kid to watch? And I'm not out here being like the purity police or being like, we need to make things accessible for kids, and that, because that's not at all what I'm saying. Obviously there's a place for media like that, but I think I'm trying to figure out what the tone of the Bad Batch is and who their target audience is.
Well, this
and
has always been a Cartoon Network problem, and I know they've talked about this with when the Clone Wars was on Cartoon Network, whatever. I've also probably talked about it on this podcast earlier. Famously, when we talk about Infinity Train, which I will not spoil anything, but Infinity Train, which originally was made for Cartoon Network and aired on Cartoon Network, and then the last season was on HBO Max, they have a violent murder in it. I don't want to spoil anything. And the creator of it and people were like, hey, how are you allowed to show that? And the creator was like, well, we asked about it, and all they asked us was, is the character human? And we said no. So they said okay. So
that's quite troubling.
Very troubling. Also, please go watch Infinity Train. Good God, that is one of the best shows on TV. But it does make me wonder. I mean, I started to make a list on Twitter, and this is a general thing of like, oh, they can show this amount of, sex and violence in a show, or they can just show this amount of violence in a video game, but they can't show gay people or whatever. Like, that's a known trope. But Star Wars specifically, which is about war, already has violence in it. It can have beheadings multiple times, dismemberment, someone being burned alive, a child being held hostage for drugs, the murder of innocent civilians, child murder, slavery, mass graves, drug smuggling multiple times, sexual slavery, exploitation, and harassment, and not gay people. I have read Thrawn do a preemptive strike more times than there is a gay person on screen. There are more green people in the Bad Batch than there are gay people on screen. And I counted. So, again, my expectations, they are low. But there are some times where I'm like, okay, listen, I very much appreciate all the gays people in the High Republic that we're getting. And I very much appreciate the stuff in books and comics and whatever. That being said, it is a little weird when I saw like wrapped packages of cocaine in an episode of animated television on Disney Plus, but the concept of, two mermaid boys kissing in a Pixar movie is too much. Like, it drives me a little crazy.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think that, and again, like, this is not saying that you can't have, like, this is not saying you need to put romance in, because I think a lot of people say, like, oh, well, why do you want to make it romantic? The Bad Batch isn't a romantic show. I'm like, yes, but we have seen from so many other types of media that there are tasteful and easy ways to incorporate a character's queer identity in a piece of media. Like, it is not impossible to do. It doesn't even seem that hard if you do it right and take the time to do it and consult queer people and intersectional queer people. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
But I'm just saying, I think happy pride to Kanan Trans Omega. Nothing but respect for my queen. So sorry that you got held hostage by drug runners. That is a shame. It is also very funny to me to see the Pike Syndicate, because whenever they show up, I'm like, oh, we're dealing with some drug money, besties. Let's go. Honestly, I kind of forgot that the Pike Syndicate existed until they showed up on screen.
I'm not gonna lie, when I did see the, like, masked henchmen people, my first thought was not the Pike Syndicate. My first thought was Crimson Dawn, Maul, because my brain is Maul all the time.
Granted, we did see the Pikes were working with Maul in, like, you know, season 7 of Clone Wars. They were talking to Maul, so Maul and Crimson Dawn can still show up. This is how Maul can still win.
This is how Dryden Voss is secretly the season 1 enemy.
No, not Dryden Voss.
Not Dryden. Oh my God, Voss hair.
Stop.
Don't manifest Voss hair.
Anyway, the only Voss I stand in this house is Quinlan Voss. Where is that man? I would like for him to be
He's going
here.
to Starbucks. Remember, he's getting his pink drink. He's kind of late, but he'll show up eventually.
Quinlan Voss shows up a season late with Starbucks. I love that for him.
I would die for this.
I have some final thoughts. It's nothing too crazy. I just want to say I really liked this episode. I kind of wish that we had gotten more that were this tone. I think some of my favorite episodes of Rebels are like this. Like, it very much reminds me of the episode with Zeb and Ezra stealing the TIE fighter, where it's like, it does have some quite serious content, but the core of the episode is the characters do something that's like kind of off track, doesn't really add to the story, but a little wacky. Episode? I'm sorry?
Is it the Mayluron episode?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I love that one. Like, that one is a Rebels episode that I always remember.
Yeah, it is.
Where I'm like, oh, that's where I, like, fell in love with Zeb. Like,
yeah. there's a lot of, like, I kind of wish that that's the more, like, quote-unquote fillery episodes. Like, I wish that we got to see a little bit more of that from this season of The Bad Batch. But again, it has not hindered my enjoyment of the show. And I'm also still, like, I'm still kind of trying to figure out where I stand a la, like, The Bad Batch as a whole, because I think the biggest problem with the show at this point is pacing, but I am reserving my full judgment until the season's over. But, like, I'm still really enjoying it. I like it a lot. I love the characters. I would love to see a little bit more from them, like, emotionally and developmentally, but I like them. I like those funky guys. What can I say?
I get a lot of serotonin from it. I'm not gonna lie. Every week I'm like, please, this is the only thing I got going for me.
Love that.
I also, like, really enjoyed it. Like, after watching it a second time with my friend, I do want to shout out those animators, because, like, you know, when they're going into the infested cave again, there's, like, those little particles in the air and the little, like, stringy webs. That's really that was really good. That was a nice touch. I was like, good job, animators. You're putting a lot of work in on this, and I appreciate all the little details you guys are doing.
You're for sure the stars of this show as the animators.
The opening, like, Ord Mantell shot when they, like, fly in or whatever, I was like, oh, okay, crisp, all right. And, like, every episode I'm like, oh, they have Disney money. Like, every time
I know, like, it's so good. And I do like the batch. They're some funky guys, and they're amazing trans daughter sister. I fucking hate that sentence that just came out of my mouth. I'm so sorry. But yeah, my only problem also is the pacing, because sometimes it gives me whiplash, because they're doing step on the gas and then suddenly it's like, oh, step on the brakes, and I'm just like, it is like a nice breath of, like, air, I guess, from stepping on the gas, but at the same time I'm just like, what? Because it's like so sudden. Yeah,
that season is literally step on the gas, and then it's like boop Step on the gas, step on the gas. Like, it's a lot.
When are we getting this? Honestly, I'm just saying, when are we getting the Suicide Squad droid arc in the Bad Batch? When are we getting Gonki?
God.
When are we getting Gonki going on his mission?
My fucking hot take is that the Suicide Squad droid arc, they walked so that the Bad Batch could run, and I love that arc. And when people slander it, I'm like, no, get out of my house. I think it's great.
One other thing I know that I think, Jess, you'd said was kind of bothering you about this show, and it is does lead us into our final segment that we'd like to discuss while we talk about the episode.
Yes. Cody watched. Where are you, Cody? Where are you, King? I just feel it's like a missed opportunity, because Cody was like the one red clone that the batch, well, besides I guess Cut LaQuaine, because obviously they're like, yeah, Cut, our man Cut, and then later on Rex, but Cody was like their commander, and they're like, yeah, we only really listen to Commander Cody, remember? So I feel like it's a missed opportunity if Cody does not appear in this show. Lucasfilms, please put him in the show, even if it will hurt me. I just want to see that man.
I feel like you're manifesting, and he's gonna show up in the final 2 episodes, and it's gonna be so fucking sad and so fucking heartbreaking. You're gonna be like, I take it all back.
Here's my prediction. I'm saying it now, and I'm probably gonna feel like an idiot if next week he's like, hey guys, I'm here to be a villain. What I think is gonna happen is they're gonna do whatever the inciting event is for the next 3 episodes, and like have it be like the end of the episode fades to black of them being like, yeah, we did it, guys, we're doing our thing. Slowly fades up. We see Tarkin being like, our asset Crosshair failed his mission. It's time for you to step in. And the light, like, you see the back of a clone's head, the camera turns, and you see Cody, and you see his scar, and it's like, oh my god. And then this season ends.
Yeah. But that would hurt me a lot, but I'd also be so excited. I know I'd probably cry, but at least I know how what happened to Cody, because I just want to know what the fuck happened to that man. Mouse, Ricky Rat, give me fucking Cody. I'm not playing games anymore.
I'm just saying, Mickey, if we don't see Cody, Pete the Cat is going down.
Yeah, but that's Cody Watch.
So because we have 2 hosts that are out this week, we're going to play our fun little game called Kriff, Naboo Honeymoon Decapitate. It's fuck, marry, kill, but in Star Wars. Each of us will be thinking of 3 characters that the others and ourselves then have to sort into one of those 3 categories. I'm going to go first. And if any of you are familiar with how I like to play this game... it's that I like to target the people in the room specifically because I'm a bitch. Now the people in the room are very easily targetable in this case.
Not very nice.
I'm already feeling targeted, so it's working.
So the 3 characters I have for you today are Zeb.
You can't keep doing this, Klaudia.
Didn't we talk before the episode? Like, Klaudia, stop.
We literally said before we started recording, we knew we were doing this segment, and I said, please don't include Zeb, because I cannot kill him, but I don't want to kriff or Naboo honeymoon with him. I just like him a lot.
Hold on, I haven't done the 3rd one. You didn't Zeb, Cody, and Samacro.
Oh no.
This is actually, unfortunately, quite easy for me.
Yeah.
I'm Naboo honeymooning Zeb. I am kriffing Cody, and I am decapitating Samacro. I'm sorry, Samacro. I love you dearly, but I don't have the same attachment to you as I do either of the other 2 gentlemen here.
Here's my problem. I would decapitate Samacro. I'm so sorry, Samacro. Sorry. You are not my favorite member of the CEDF Springhawk. However,
It's time for our weekly plug for everyone to read the Thrawn books and catch up the first three, which is Thrawn Alliances, then Thrawn Treason, and then once you're done with that, you get Thrawn Ascendancy, Chaos Rising, Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Good, and in November you get Thrawn Ascendancy, Lesser Evil.
Yeah, you get to meet Wootro.
And Samacro.
And Samacro.
Anyways, Samacro. I'm sorry, I will be decapitating you. The problem is between Cody and Zeb. I can't decide which one is more marriage material. I'm gonna have to. Here's my problem. I think both of them are gay men. Like, I don't think they're attracted to women in any way, shape, or form. So this also complicates things. So it's also like, who would I want to enter the Maulycule with? Do I want to enter the Maulycule with Zeb and Callus? Or do I want to enter the Maulycule with Obi-Wan and Cody?
The mental gymnastics that you're doing right now really are driving me insane.
So I think my choice is that I will be going on a Naboo honeymoon with Cody, mostly because I would like to be in that Maulycule. And I will be kriffing Zeb only because it's just process of elimination. I also think that Zeb is marriage material, so this is very difficult.
I have prepared my answers for you all. Yeah, goodbye, Zeb. You're being decapitated. I don't think anyone is surprised by that. But here is where you all are gonna be like, what the fuck? Because I have decided I'm gonna kriff Cody and Naboo honeymoon Samacro.
I'm interested by this, but I respect it.
Are you marrying into the Upsa family?
Yeah, here's my reasoning. I think Samacro is neat. Samacro and his chitties are neat. I feel like gaslight myself into falling in love with Samacro while reading Greater Good, because I just really missed Eli Vanto.
Well, here's the thing. Samacro, as we all know, has enormous titties or chitties. So, like, it's only natural that you would fall in love with him.
It's also because, like, I listened to the audiobooks for the Thrawn Ascendancy and Thrawn, but it's all like Mark Thompson, and Mark Thompson did give Samacro like kind of like a space country boy accent, but like gruff, and it made me miss Eli Vanto so much that I started just being like, Samacro is just gruff, chiss Eli Vanto in my head, and so.
But he's nothing like Eli.
He's nothing like Eli Vanto, but my head was just like, Samacro is gruff, chiss Eli.
I can respect you, and from that, I am raising us out of this hell. And I am introducing the three people that you are going to have to choose between.
Oh, no.
Welcome to the land of new canon leading ladies. So your options today are Kira, Jyn Erso, and Rey Skywalker. Have fun.
Oh, no.
I'm going to say kriff Rey because I love her and she's cute. I am going to say decapitate Jyn only because she already dies. And then I'm going to marry Kira, not because I like love her as a character or whatever, but because I would like to marry into the Crimson Dawn Syndicate.
Not you marrying her because you want to meet Maul.
Maybe I want to be a part of the Maulycule. Maybe I do.
The Maulycule?
No, Kira's not in a polycule with Maul.
No. It's a triangle. Me, Maul, and Kira.
She's not in that.
Okay,
I guess they're just attached to you.
In this situation that Klaudia has introduced, it is a polycule that is V-shaped with her at the center and Maul and Kira.
Yeah, that's what I'm figuring out.
Bisexuals, here's how we can still win.
Okay, here's mine. I am also Naboo honeymooning Kira, one, because I think she is pretty, and two, I also want to be in charge of Crimson Dawn. Crimson Dawn is now mine. I'm sorry. I actually marry her and then mysteriously Kira
Gold
has
digger
passed
Jess
away,
always
and I
shows
am
up
the new
during this
leader of
segment.
Crimson Dawn. Yeah, that's the real segment here, is that I'm just marrying Naboo, honeymooning these characters because I want something from them. With Samacro, it was his chitties. With Kira, it is Crimson Dawn. I am decapitating Rey. I really love Rey, and I do think she's really neat, and I do like the sequels. It's just Rey, I'm sorry, you had very terrible taste in men. I hate Ben Solo / Kylo Ren, Kyle Ron.
I don't know what you're talking about. There was never a third sequel.
But I will have, some crimes can never be forgiven. You did kiss that man, and I have to end you for that.
Jess is like, I can't have an indirect kiss with Ben
Yeah,
Solo.
ew, not with Kyle Ron. Get out of here. And then I am gonna kriff Jyn Erso. I'm so sorry, Saw. I did kill Rex at one point, and now I have kriffed your adoptive daughter.
Dads hate them.
No, just Saw Gerrera hates me.
I have my answer. I came up with this pretty easily. I am going to decapitate Kira. I think she's very cool. I love her sense of style. I just don't think we have that much in common. I am going to kriff Jyn Erso because I think she is very pretty. I think she's very cool. And I'm going to Naboo honeymoon with Rey because I feel like we could have a good time. And I feel like I could change her. I would be like, I'm so sorry you got tied up with that man. I think that you've just never had a lot of real friends before and you had an emotional connection with him. So you just didn't understand the difference, my dear. I am so sorry.
Also, you get to be in the Polycule with Finn, so it's a win.
I don't know. I don't want to be I love Finn dearly. I don't want to be in a Polycule with him. I am gay. But
you know what? Maybe I will change my answer. Maybe
this is about me right now, Klaudia.
Ollie, if it was a Polycule, it would be Rey is the point, and you and Finn are not in any relationship.
Fair. But I think I also love Rey Rose, my beloved. Maybe I could be in that Polycule with Rey, Rose, and me. That's powerful. Okay. That solidified my answer.
I also wanted to say, when I was thinking about this too, and Polycules being brought up, me kriffing Jyn Erso is also me entering the Polycule of Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor. I'm sorry to our listeners, but welcome back to the Chiss Ascendancy.
Yes!
If you haven't read Thrawn Ascendancy, go do it. Again, I'm plugging Thrawn Ascendancy. Today, I have brought for you to choose from Ar'alani, Wootro, and Lakinda.
Easy for me. I'm marrying I'm Naboo honeymooning Ar'alani, hands down. I am kriffing Wootro, and I am unfortunately decapitating Lakinda. I just have a much deeper connection with those other two women. Ar'alani is very beautiful, and she's very respectful. And not that Wootro isn't, or that Lakinda isn't. Something about Ar'alani. But yes, that is my answer. I will stand solid in it. Ar'alani, please call me if you're free. Please feel free to let me know.
Okay, I am in the middle of greater good right now, so I don't have as much with Lakinda to work with. This is very difficult. I think Ar'alani would not have time for me and for being married, to be honest. To be fair, also it's difficult because it's difficult, I think, also because I do believe in the Ar'alani, Wootro, Karen Farrow Polycule. So whoever I marry in this, I do have to think about that.
Are you going to become the Karen Farrow in this situation?
No, I will be the fourth. I will be the fourth in the Polycule. Okay. I will be having a Naboo honeymoon with Wootro. I will be kriffing Ar'alani. I think that's all she has time for, to be honest. She is busy. That does mean that Lakinda, I will have to be decapitating you. It's nothing personal.
My answer is I am Naboo honeymooning Ar'alani, because I do like the thought of being the trophy spouse of Admiral Ar'alani. Even though before, I'm pretty sure the last time I brought Ar'alani into this, I did say that she scares me, but I do also like the idea of being her trophy spouse. And then I am gonna kriff Outro because Outro is cool. We'd have like a fun time. We would also go out for drinks too. Outro and I would just become besties too. And then I am decapitating Lakinda. Anyone who has finished Greater Good is probably happy with all of us decapitating Lakinda. That's all I'll say.
Thank you all for this game. That was horrible. That does bring us into our next section, which is Q&As. So I know we didn't do Q&As last week, but I did want to go ahead and say we are going to be doing them more going forward. They didn't fit super well tonally in the last 2 episodes, but we have remedied that hopefully this week. So please keep sending in your questions on TikTok. We love answering them. There have been quite a few that have made me laugh. Some of those are going to be answered today. We have 3 questions today. The first one: which member of the 501st gives off the most gaslight gatekeep girl boss energy? And that comes from Aaron McDowd. The second, I assume, but it's 2 eyes. What do we think?
Echo. I did think about this.
You say
a
Echo?
Lot. Oh, Echo. Claudia just shooting from the head.
Claudia, you answered like you knew. We did talk about these questions ahead of time, but you were like ready with conviction.
It's obviously Echo because they all like kind of hated him at first because he was like, guys, like, we have to like get everything together or whatever, and he's like, and he like now that he's in the batch, like he's like becoming like a second in command, whatever, like he is entering his girl boss era, and I do think that like if he was living in his CEO kind of era, I do think he would read lean in. I do think like he's definitely like I survived being brainwashed, I lived, bitch. Like he like what can you do to him? Bingo card, Claudia makes a Sailor Moon reference. Echo to me has the vibe of that time that Chibiusa pulled a gun on
oh my god. Yeah, that scene.
That Chibiusa pulls a gun on Usagi and Mamoru.
Like right after meeting them, she just falls from the sky and just like, oh, are you Usagi? It's just like, yes, gun.
Hey, you know, it's really weird because this is the first week where I'm the only person here who doesn't know anything about Sailor Moon, so I truly do feel like an outsider looking in. But I actually do have my answer prepared, and actually for a quite similar answer. I think it's Fives. Because what is Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss but not a true crime podcaster? And what is Fives? If Fives had been able to make a true crime podcast, he would have been like, and this person was brutally murdered. This episode is brought to you by Space Purple Mattresses. But no, I do think that that's a very funny path for Fives. I think girl bosses recruit people into their schemes. What did he do if not try to recruit Kix into his the truth about the ship when they were in the bathroom at 79s? I rest my case.
Okay, I was also thinking Fives before. There was a couple clones I was just like, they could possibly have like, you know, Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss energy. Fives was up there for me. I also thought about Jesse. But I think it was just like Jesse in that moment near the end when he was under the chip that made me really feel gaslight.
Not Order 66, Jesse.
But
not Jesse trying to recruit Rex into the pyramid scheme that is Order 66. He's like, hey girlie, it looks like you haven't killed Ahsoka yet.
Hey bestie, do you want to be your own boss? My upline.
Bestie, do you want Palpatine to be your boss?
No, but I did decide. I think my answer is actually Dogma. Dogma trying to recruit all the other clones and being like, hey besties, do you want Pongrel to be your boss?
Leave Dogma alone.
I'm not saying I know. I'm not saying Dogma's bad, but I do think he has a lot of Gaslight Gatekeep Girl Boss energy. He did also gatekeep all the clones and being like, we have to like, you know, do things just like General Pongrel says.
Dogma,
wait, that is actually
the pink Cadillac his entire personality.
That is actually so true, though, because here's the thing. A lot of women who fall into the gaslight gatekeep girl boss situation were just exploited by a higher ranking person. And what is Ponkrell if not the head of a pyramid scheme who recruited Dogma?
What is Ponkrell if not multi-level marketing schemes persevering?
So the next question that I have comes from Mandolauren. And it is, what would turn y'all to the dark side? And we have taken a different approach with this question than maybe the question asker was intending. So we have chosen to go the route of like, if this happened in Star Wars, what would turn you to the dark side and make you be like, I am entering my Anakin era and I am going to become violent? I said when I was coming up with an example for like what we were kind of going into this with is, I think if in the Ahsoka show, Callus or Zeb shows up and is like, yes, this is my wife and children, I will turn to the dark side.
No, that's literally my same answer. I was like, if like Eli Vanto or like Callus or Zeb showed up, or even like Obi-Wan, where they're like, he is very attracted to women, or like if there was any sort of thing like that, or actually even like it with Din Djarin, even where they were like, he is straight, he is heterosexual.
I feel like anything where it beats you over the head with a they are straight and if you don't think so, that's bad. Like I think anything like that would hurt me.
I have already felt this feeling. I have already been turned to the dark side by something that happened in Star Wars. And I'm sure you can guess what that was. Like we're all imagining like what would make you turn or whatever. But like I had this exact discussion when the sequels were coming out. And then I walked into that goddamn theater and it happened and I had an out-of-body experience of like, this is it. I'm outie. And that was the moment where I was like, play Anakin's dark deeds. My eyes have turned yellow. I am a different person. Like if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, I mean,
DM us on Twitter and we'll tell you.
If you know me, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The whitewashing of Eli Vanto, like if they cast a white man, no! As Eli Vanto, it would, after all the whitewashing in the Bad Batch, like that would drive me insane.
If we're in the Ahsoka show, you know, and Ahsoka's there, and then this still kind of falls under the category of what we were talking about earlier, but Ahsoka's there, and then Rex shows up. And Rex and Ahsoka are in a relationship. I don't
turn
to the dark side immediately.
I don't like between the age of like 45 and 55 Ahsoka being in a relationship with like literally like 100-year-old Rex. That makes me feel upset. Rex. I'm so sorry. It's like that scene in Twilight where Edward is looking at, or it's in New Moon where Bella's like an old lady in her dream and Edward's still.
Another thing that would turn me to the dark side is Mart Madden in live action.
Are you saying that on behalf of Mel? Because for those of you who don't know, Mart Matten is Mel's enemy. Mel hates Mart Matten for some reason, and I don't know if they're going to be okay with me exposing this about them, but like...
I also agree with Mel, though. Like, even though Mart Matten and I are like twins, I am Mart Matten. I do think Mart Matten was a little shit when he was first introduced. So if I saw that fucker in live action and I saw people start like simping for this man, I'd be like, no, get away.
So our last question today comes from Boone the cat dog, and that's Boone. If y'all could have an animal from Star Wars as a pet, regardless of the care requirements and size, what would it be? They said that they would have a pork or a tuca, which I think is a very good answer.
That's cute. It's Salamiri. That shoot from the hip.
The little lizard thing that Thrawn.
Not you becoming Peepaw Thrawn.
No,
those of you who don't know,
Peepaw Thrawn out of here.
Peepaw Thrawn is Legends Thrawn.
So Legends Thrawn, he always likes having a little lizard. Called their Salamiri. I don't know how to pronounce it. Because they repel the Force. So he was just like sitting with one, and I'm not gonna lie.
Like Magneto's helmet, but it's a lizard.
Yes. That's why I would want it, because like let's say I think it would be so powerful. Like the power move of him just being like, I'm a bad bitch, you can't kill me. Like, it's so good. I would really want to embody that energy. And also, like, sometimes I very much identify with Thrawn in a lot of ways, which is a problem. But I am nowhere near as intelligent as him, so again, a problem. But I will say that when people used to ask me, like, what do you want to do when you grow up or whatever, I would always be like, I don't know, but my dream is to be at a position of power where I can bring my pet to work and nobody will give a shit, and I can sit in my chair petting my dog or my cat like this, and just turn around in my chair like that. And that's exactly what Thrawn does with his little lizard in Legends. So that's where it sits in my brain. That's why I want the little force repelling lizard.
I would like to answer now because I also have a lizard answer. This might throw a lot of people off because I am a cat person, and I think a Tuca was my first thought because I think they're very fun. I want a Varactyl. For those of you who aren't sure, a Varactyl is what Obi-Wan was riding in Revenge of the Sith, that Cody did order them to shoot off the wall during Order 66. I think those are so cool. I think they're very funny the way they run. I think it'd be very useful. I could see how that could help me in my everyday life. They also just are very cute. I feel like I could vibe with one. That's my answer.
So, okay. I do think you're very powerful for that. I thought about this, and there's a lot of animals I actually like, because for different reasons. I thought about Tuca or Loth Cat, because I do like little cats. I do like to vibe with cats, even if cats don't particularly like me. And then I also thought about a Loth Wolf, pulling a Dave Filoni moment, hanging with a wolf. That would be fun. But I do think in the end, my answer is actually a Gacklebat.
Jess, the way I almost said Gacklebat, I was literally thinking before we started, I was like, should I say Gacklebat? And I was like, no, I'm not going to say Gacklebat.
No, just kidding. It's not actually a Gacklebat. I think a Gacklebat would definitely kill me. Not even probably. I think they would just straight up kill me.
It sees Jess and it's like, I don't like the cut of this person's jib.
I think I want the Zillow Beast.
You can't get the Zillow. Where are you gonna put a Zillow Beast?
I mean, to be honest, do you want to know what my actual answer is?
Not the Zillow Beast. No,
it's not the Zillow Beast. But Ollie, you should know about this because you have played Fallen Order. But it is the Shio bird, the giant fucking bird in Fallen Order that you get to ride on. That is what I want. He and I are besties. I really enjoyed that moment in Fallen Order where you get to ride this giant ass bird. So I want one powerful. Of those.
And the thing is too, when Jess says giant ass bird, it's it's like the size of a school bus. Yeah. Bigger.
Cal Kestis was tiny on this fucking giant bird's head.
Yeah.
So that's what I want.
I like that we have basically gone from the smallest, we've basically sized up, so it's like a Pokemon evolution from the Yosumari.
Not just entering their fucking How to Train Your Dragon era,
me and the Shio bird, we're besties.
But it's like a Pokemon evolution. The Yosumari, which is a small lizard, enters to a mix of the bird lizard larger moment of the Varactyl, and then we go all the way up to the largest size bird. I love that for us. Good job, guys.
Dave Filoni, what the fuck happened to the Zillow Beast? Please, I need to know.
I like the idea that the Zillow Beast just shows up. That's how Dave Filoni's decanonizing the original trilogy, is have the Zillow Beast eat Palpatine original trilogy.
So it's once again time for everyone's favorite segment, Name That Ship, where our hosts have brought fics, and we try to guess the ship of the fic based off of the tags that are telling us a story. And I just want to say we're not trying to shame any of these authors. We're just having fun. Fanfic writers are the backbone of society, and we respect them. And also, don't go looking for these fics and harassing these authors, anyone, because that's not cool. But yeah, time for Name That Ship.
This is all in good fun. And I have one.
Oh boy.
This one, I think, I will say, I don't think that the ship itself, I have not read it, and you'll understand why later. I don't think the ship itself is like bad, and I don't think I begrudge this writer based on the tags. But it's a lot, and you'll understand. So this fic is called Running with Lightning Feet. It is rated E for explicit. Some of these are going to give it away, but I think that's okay. Character A / Character B. Plo Koon and Character B. Character B and Darth Maul. And there's some other, this is aside, there are a lot of ships in this that aren't going to give it away, but are wild.
Wait,
Savaggio Press / Sinker. Like the clone. Padme Amidala / CT-1010 Fox / Darth Maul.
Huh?
Fuck.
Character B and Kaisina, I don't know who that is, and Darth Maul. Character, and now we get into the general tags. Character B, Character A, Plo Koon, Sinker, Boost, Savaggio Press, Darth Maul, Talzin, Padme Amidala, CC-1010 Fox, Ursa Wren, Prey Vizsla, Boba Fett, Agent Kolar, Boltar Swan, Kaisina, Alternate Universe Canon Divergent, Fix It of Sorts, Implied / Reference Abuse, Because of the Night Sisters Everything, Friendship, Imprisonment, kind of. Plo Koon does what he wants, regardless of how many gray hairs it gives his commander or the council. Humor, Families of Choice, Hurt / Comfort, Mind Control, Discussions of Slavery, specifically related to the trauma of Dathomir. Mental Link, True Mandalorians, The Mandalorian Darksaber.
Wolf?
Yes! Wolf is Character A.
Wolf is
Oh no.
So it's not Wolf X Plo Koon.
It is not, no.
Oh, thank God. Okay, but is it a Mandalorian? If it's
It is not a Mandalorian.
Oh God.
Is it a Jedi?
It is not a Jedi.
Are they
Ventress?
It is not
Sith?
Ventress. They are not a Sith.
They're not a Force user. They're not
Are they a clone? Are they another clone?
They are not another clone.
Okay.
And it is not explicit if they are a Force user or not.
Is this a character we know?
It is a character we know.
Are they also part of like Clone Wars era?
They are.
Are they from Clone Wars or Rebels or both?
They are from Clone Wars.
It's a man, right? This
It is a man.
gay? Okay.
Is he a bounty hunter?
He's not. I will give you another hint. I do not believe we have brought this ship to the podcast, but this is a ship that all of you are aware of.
Wolf and somebody.
Yeah. It is.
Is it Feral Press?
It's Feral Press. And here's the thing. I will also add, and one of the reasons that I brought this fic that, because the tags they don't really tell, like, it's a lot, but it's not crazy. How many words do you guys think this has?
Oh, this has got to be like 15 fucking chapters.
It's more than 15
No!
chapters.
If it's more than 15 chapters, there's gotta be a decent amount of fucking words in this one,
Do
right?
you want me to tell you how many words? Do you want me to tell you how many words?
No, is it around like maybe like I'm gonna guess a lot, so maybe like 300,000 or more or less.
I will say, I believe so. There are currently 58 out of 73 chapters written.
Why are there so
And
many?
here's how many words there are. 258,740 words. And it is not completed.
I have to respect this person's dedication.
This is something that we don't usually do. This was updated today.
No.
So, and here's the thing. This is why I say don't go harass this author, because I am not begrudging this fic at all. I think it's very interesting. I think it's cool when someone takes a concept like this that has very little canon information and goes off and makes it their own. I think that's awesome. I was just so shocked at the pure number and how much dedication this person has to this, and I am like not making fun of them.
Yeah, honestly, that's really powerful.
Like,
I respect them.
You. Studio, like, can I get into this person's brain that they were able to
write
50 chapters about feral oppress?
Yeah, and I love that. Like, Feral's one of the unexplored characters of Clone Wars who I would love to know more about. This person is putting the work in.
The summary
is Feral gets kidnapped by a Jedi Master. It's the best thing that ever happened to him, aka how Plo Koon's foray into Sith napping saved the galaxy, featuring galactic road trips, daring expeditions into Sith strongholds, plenty of soul searching, pirates, the Death Watch, senators with big blasters, more pirates, and 3 brothers who aren't prepared for any of it. Like,
damn, okay.
I respect this.
All right.
I just thought it's very powerful.
This is very powerful.
Yeah.
Like, good for
Some
you.
people are so creative. Oh my god.
Wow, this really makes the fics that I have, which are mostly crack and weird crossovers, a real just contrast, because that took me on a journey. Yes, I have a fic. I actually have several, but the one I have chosen today, it does say that it is crack. But it seems like it's like not like, oh, this is crazy, but just like, this is a good old fun time. Let's go on a journey. Rating is general audiences. So there are several relationships in this. All of them are kind of insane. Like, I wish I could get you to guess each one of them. I actually didn't know how to present it initially, because I was like, they're all kind of, well, there's one that's very common, and then the rest of them, I have a lot of questions. I will not be reading you the characters, because that would give it away, because let me give you the text. Marriage does not solve everything, but it will solve this. Crack. Sidious's plans are all ruined because no one can withstand the power of a Jedi flirting with them. Fix it. Reminder that this is absolute crack and was written in like 30 minutes. Collections. Mary character number 1 challenge. Fun humor, crack in a galaxy far, far away. Fucking superb, you funky little dadass. Let me give you the summary.
That might clear some
of
things
the
up.
identifying things. John Varuna had been a marriage officiator for nearly 2 decades, and he'd seen all sorts of odd things. Still, he didn't think he'd ever had such a strange medley of individuals gathered in his office at one time.
Is this about like a marriage, like an officiant
Hold on. Here is your clue. I'm sorry. 2 Kaminoans, 5 Jedi, a fully Beskar-clad Mandalorian, and 2 clone troopers.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who's...
Okay.
Hold on, I'm not done. I'm sorry, whose wedding am I officiating? A tall, imposing man in Jedi robes stepped forward. All of ours.
Okay.
So
wait, is this multiple couples?
Yes, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 couples. That involves 2 Kaminoans, 5 Jedi, a fully Beskar-clad Mandalorian, and 2 clone troopers.
What the fuck is happening?
Now, again, this is Clone Wars era. Obviously, you have guessed this.
Claudia, we're stupid. You expect us to do this? Okay, is Cody
like
1?
Start guessing.
Is Cody 1?
Ship number 1.
Is that Cody 1?
No. Okay, so there are no common ships in this except for one that's sort of a little more common than most. The rest of them are kind of crazy.
Okay,
I'm stupid. You think I'm gonna guess?
Is one of them Mace Windu?
Yes. One
is it
character
Mace Windu
is
slash Pons?
Okay, hold on. One character is Mace Windu. Who is he shipped with?
Is it Pons?
No, but it is a clone.
Is it Wolf?
No.
Is it Rex?
No.
Okay, Mace Windu slash Rex is very powerful. So I'm actually unironically that's very powerful.
This is even more powerful.
Oh, it's
Cody.
Is it Fox?
Yes!
Wait, Mace Windu and Fox?
Ding, ding, ding! You got it! Okay, next
that's kind
one.
of everything. Okay, so that's one. There's 5, you said? Okay.
Wait, you said Kaminoans are involved in one of these? Or?
Are the Kaminoans together?
No, they're not.
They're with...
Is it Tanwi?
No.
Is it Lama Su?
Yes. One of them is
Lama
Lama
Su?
Su.
Oh, God.
Is the other one Nalase?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
with
Lama Su
clones?
X someone and Nalase X someone?
Both of them are with Jedi.
Oh.
Nalase X Obi-Wan.
No.
Is it Nalase and Shakti?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, we got 2. Ding, ding, ding.
The Lama Su is with a Jedi too?
Mm-hmm.
Lama Su and Obi-Wan.
No.
I was gonna say, is it Yoda?
No.
Is it Plo Koon?
Yes.
Lama Su and Plo Koon!
I am 3 for 3 right now.
Okay, wait, so there's 2 more ships?
It's
Okay, one of them has a Mandalorian, right? So is it Jango Fett?
Yes.
Okay.
Obi-Wan?
Yes.
Jango.
That's the normal one.
Oh, okay, so that's the normal
Okay,
ship.
and the last one's a Jedi and a Jedi?
A clone.
Um,
I had a clone.
It's not
is
Rex
it
Soka,
Yoda?
is it? Okay.
No, it's nothing gross. It's nothing gross. It's just one I've never seen before.
Is that Anakin?
No.
Okay.
Is this a Jedi from the Jedi Council?
Yes.
Is it Kit Fisto?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Is it
Kit Fisto
and
and
Phil?
What?
Is it Phil? Okay, I guess it's not Phil.
wait, it's another Jedi, right?
No,
Jedi
it's
X
a clone.
Jedi.
It's a clone.
Oh wait, yeah, fuck.
Kit
Kit
Fisto.
Fisto
Is it
and
Cody?
No, we already got Cody. There's
We
no
did?
repeats.
Who's
It's
Cody?
Cody
with?
and Mace Windu.
Oh no, we just Fox and
Oh.
Mace Windu.
No, you guessed.
Oh wait, so it was Fox or it was
Oh.
Cody and Mace Windu, not Fox and Mace Windu. Okay.
Okay, that's also very powerful. Sorry,
Wait,
that
so,
I wasn't actually 3 for 3. I'm a fool in man's boots.
So I got Jango and Cody. Fuck.
So okay, so it's Kit Fisto. Is it a clone who's like a clone we know pretty well? Or
we
like-
know this clone. I wouldn't say we know him well, but we know him. We know his name.
Is this a member of the 501st?
No.
Are the 212th?
No.
Of the 104th?
Which one is that?
Plo Koons, the wolf pack.
No.
Is it one that we have said today?
Yes.
Is it Fox?
Yes.
That makes sense. 'cause-
So Fox. So
Okay.
here's what we have.
Dang.
We have Plo Koon Lama Su, Cody Mace Windu, Shakti Nalase, Jango Fett Obi-Wan, Kit Fisto Fox.
That's so much going on.
You know, good for them.
It is 1,600 words. And
Not a lot of words for so much content.
I absolutely love this person. This made me feel insane. Also, it does feature them calling it does feature them calling Lama Su by is Lama Su a guy? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
By his first name.
Llama?
And it does have Lama Su saying, before you adopt your boys to Plo, or and then wait, before we adopt the boys.
Lama Su, stay away from the wolf pack, you bitch.
Thank you so so much for joining us this week for RuPaul's Pod Race, minus 2 of our hosts. Our episodes usually drop on Sundays. For updates, Star Wars news, more cursed shit, you can follow us on social media at RuPaul's Pod Race on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Please keep an eye on TikTok as well, because Mel and Noah will be probably posting their answers to some questions, any extra content when they are back. If you really love us, please rate and review our show on Apple Podcasts, even if you don't use it as your podcatcher. Also, please don't use it as your podcatcher. Just have it on your phone to be downloading our show, obviously. Thank you for your help. Thank you to Lime Bunny and the Real Salacious B. Crumb and Avatar Annabeth for your kind reviews on the Apple Podcasts platform. We really appreciate it. Please keep them coming, the rates and reviews. And as we said last week, we do want to hear from you. What would you like to see from us between the Badbatch and the Book of Boba Fett? We do have stuff planned for Star Wars Visions, obviously for Lesser Evil. We have things planned, but we also want to know, what you guys want to hear from us, because it's going to be a while between the Badbatch and the Book of Boba Fett. So send us a question in our TikTok Q&A. You could tweet at us. You can DM us on Instagram, Twitter, or you can send us an email at RuPaul'sPodRace@gmail.com. Anyways, thanks for listening, and may the Force be with you, and don't kriff it up.
Waka waka.
Waka waka once for me, waka waka for Mel, and waka waka for Noah.
Rest in peace, their Force ghosts.
They'll come back, it's fine.
Ha 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 ha!